right here, right now. I want to say thank you to all the Zoom users. Thank you to everybody tuning in on YouTube. And then we're going to get started recording very soon for our Apple Podcast members and everybody like that. But sit back, enjoy, listen to Kevin Hart a little bit as what he's talking about, to success in his life. So while we're waiting for more people to pop in, I'm going to play this video, continue to pull up a couple of documents, and we'll get started in the next few minutes. Drop what city and state you're calling in from. Thank you so much. Welcome to Coffee and Crypto.
Being that I want to make sure that you get to see some dope things in life. Here, let's do this and take that and live like this and do. So things work themselves out. His reward for giving his energy to something positive and life-changing was his son becoming successful and his son saying, Dad, it's not expected. That wasn't the plan. You got a great piece of light at the end of that dark tunnel that you didn't expect, that I didn't expect, because I didn't expect to be here. So everything it works itself out.
Yeah.
And, and losing my dad is when you look back and you go, yo, he was all right? Like my reflection, my conversation, my words when I speak on behalf of my father, they're so positive and dope because he did good. I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
I came out okay. Mom, Dad, you did good. Like whatever you did to put whatever recipe in this pot, the food came out all right. I'm a good person. I got a good heart. I treat people with respect. Ultimately, I want the most that I can possibly get out of life. I love to love. I'm a good dude. Am I perfect? No.
That's important.
I got some of them imperfections over there. I got some of the ones from over here, from my man, Dad. Okay, that's life.
Of course.
I'm going to figure it out, but I figure it out without the want or need.
We're about to get started in the next 2 minutes, family. 2 minutes until takeoff. Please go ahead and continue to send those links out. Let people know that we are going live. I want to say welcome to the YouTube family. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, the Oh My Crypto Network, as we continue to build and grow to over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. The next 2 minutes, we will be taking off, and I will be presenting to you guys a lot of bullish content on the World Economic Forum, Davos 2023. Let's get it.
It's some healing.
That's the best example that I can ask for.
Yeah.
Because it's not about us, right? Like me and my ex-wife got to a point of realization, after having a significant amount of ups and downs, after our divorce, we got to a point where you realize it's not about us. Like we did it. We had our opportunity and we're now adults. How we choose to live as adults, well, that's a choice that we make, but we're trying to make the best choices so that they have a better life. So it's about them. When I see somebody making the efforts to make life for them better, well, then we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm. We have the same vision.
We have the same vision.
Yeah.
It's not about us at this point. It's not about us as a generation at this point. It's about us trying our best to do things, to create change, to move ground, shift the gears so that they have a much better opportunity than what we did.
Yeah.
That's the world of the baton being passed correctly. And if you understand that and you have that mindset, you approach your day-to-day differently. And I do have that mindset. And it's one thing that I'm very thankful for. And through the things that should be problems or were supposed to be problems, I've never held on to them long enough. And by the way, just bringing it back full circle, that's a monster. That grudge monster, that's a monster. I'm going to get you back. You just
welcome to Coffee and Crypto, guys. We are live. Welcome to the show. Give me 1 second. All right, welcome to Coffee and Crypto, the #1 cryptocurrency morning show in the world. Drop those coffee emojis. Do me a favor and drop those coffee emojis inside of the chat box. I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you all for taking the time out to just, spend time, spend time with us and be here on today's episode. Today's episode is going to be absolutely incredible. We have a lot of information when it comes to Davos 2023. All right, let me go ahead and start sharing. Let me go ahead and actually start up my video so you guys can see me. If y'all can see me clearly, drop those coffee emojis in the chat box. And if you're brand new, tuning in on the Zoom, on the YouTube, I want to say welcome. My name is Vincent Owens. I'm a top educator in the space of blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and I help people invest safely and smartly into, all right, this digital age. Guys, what I tell people is 2023 is simply entitled, okay? 2023 is simply titled this, okay? It is you got to understand that 2023 is the year where we have a digital revolution. 2023 is the year where we create wealth in a digital economy. We're creating generational wealth in a digital economy. That's very, very important. All right. We talk about creating generational wealth all the time. Let me make sure I'm actually recording here on the cloud. Hold on. All right, perfect. So 2023, okay, for our world of digital investing, becoming digital entrepreneurs, what I want you to understand is 2023 is the year that we craft generational wealth in a digital economy. Everything's digital. Books, people don't even go to Barnes and Nobles too much no more. They order ebooks. They order stuff on their Kindle. Money is going digital. Your music has gone digital. When's the last time you went to get a CD? Movies are digital. You don't go to red box anymore. I don't know many people. I don't even see that many red boxes anymore. You definitely don't see Blockbuster around or Hollywood Video. Okay. So in those sections inside of the stores like Target and Walmart, they're getting smaller and smaller by the year. Hell, they don't even have physical games no more. You just buy them. You just buy them online. So the days of physically having things and owning them, no, it's slowly shifting away, right? And the only people that holding physical things is important to right now is our age and above. Our kids, and those kids, and further on, they will know a new world, which will be the digital world, everything being digital. Hell, they'll even be able to be digital, including with AI, right? So with that being said, help me go ahead and make sure that you're dropping this link inside of the group chat. Go do that one more time for me. If you're tuned in live on Apple Podcasts, I want to say welcome. Appreciate you for listening in. Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all the other podcast platforms we're on. Shout out to my YouTube family. And most importantly, shout out to my close-knit community here on Zoom. All right. If you're looking to join in on the Zoom on any of these episodes, you have to be a part of our Discord group. We're going to start enforcing that. Okay. We're going to start enforcing that very, very soon. Okay. The reason being is because we do a Q&A at the end of every show. Okay. In order to be a part of that Q&A, you need to be a part of our Inner Circle Secrets of Crypto and Money Discord group, which we'll talk about how you can get started with that very soon. But with all that being said, it's time for us to dive in today's bullish content. I'm really excited today on what we have in store. If you're excited, just drop the round of coffee emojis one more time and let's get this thing rolling. So the very first video that I want to show is from our CEO, okay, and I call him my CEO too because I'm heavily invested, right, in XRP. All right, in the company, I mean, in the asset XRP. Okay, so this is our CEO. Okay, his name is Brad Garlinghouse. Okay, if you did not know, Davos is going on right now. What is Davos? Davos is in Switzerland. It's a city in Switzerland. It's the highest peak. It's in the Alps in the mountains. Okay, the World Economic Forum meets in Davos once a year, where all the leaders, okay, all of the huge governmental figures, celebrities, politicians, world leaders, the biggest banks are there, all of the largest companies are there. And in this year, it's heavily including cryptocurrency and digital assets. And I told you guys that 2023 is all about making sure, okay, if you haven't set it up yet, you are not too late. But 2023 is the year that we have to set up our generational wealth in a digital age, in a digital economy. And if you try, okay, I want to explain something to you. If you try to create generational wealth in the traditional economy that we have right now, you're going to see a lot of failure come your way over the next 10 years, right? Because you cannot stay the same. When times change, you have to change with the times. So what CEO said was caught up with Ripple CEO, this guy here who interviewed him, and he said that he was optimistic. Well, first off, he thinks the SEC lawsuit will be resolved in the first half of the year. He's optimistic this will certainly be resolved in 2023 in maybe the first half. I feel very good about where we are relative to the law and the facts. So I'm going to play this video. It's about 6 minutes long, but it's worth listening to so we can actually hear the state of the crypto market directly from a behemoth like Brad Garlinghouse.
A crypto winter that, as you just suggested, has changed in tone from how the last Davos, in terms of just, there was a lot of hype, a lot of noise around all things crypto at the last Davos. And I think seeing the change, and I actually think it's a really healthy change, that there's more focus on utility. Are these technologies that are solving real problems? And I think to your question, I think to the extent there are companies solving real problems for real customers, and they're going to continue to grow regardless of the environment. Is there continued contagion? I think we're obviously continuing to hear noise about what's going on with DCG and Gemini. Hard to know. It sounds like that could work out in a constructive way. I think all of this has not been great for crypto at large. But again, if you just focus on companies that are solving real problems, certainly Ripple had a record 2022. We'd rather see crypto do well at large, but we had a great year, signed up more and more customers and more volume going through our payment rails.
And in terms of your outlook for 2023, we've seen a bit of a bump for Bitcoin in the crypto markets. Are you expecting that to continue, or is it just a little bit of false hope?
Well, I've tried to stay out of the short-term price prediction on all things Bitcoin, or crypto in general. I'm long-term very bullish because I think these are technologies that can solve real problems at scale. And I think when you have kind of new emerging technologies, not dissimilar than, frankly, the internet and kind of the dot-com bubble, sometimes the hype gets ahead of the reality that comes into balance over time. But we shouldn't forget, really not that long ago, 21 years ago, Amazon during the dot-com bubble almost went out of business. So the fact that you're seeing some changes in the crypto world, I think can be healthy for the long-term health of the industry.
And yet FTX appears to be a very high-profile case of fraud. There are serious regulatory and auditing gaps that went on with that institution. And yet at the same time, what I'm reading is so many people have been critical of SBF for having this close relationship with the regulators, the fact that he visited Gary Gensler so many times. So where do you draw the line? We need to strengthen regulation and oversight in this industry, but how close should the relationship be between your peer group and the U.S. regulators who are looking at these institutions?
First of all, I think you're exactly right. We talk about this as a crypto problem, but really this is just fraud. And I think in some ways not that dissimilar than Bernie Madoff. And when Bernie Madoff occurred, we didn't totally restructure how we thought about oversight and regulation of hedge funds. We realized that, hey, we clearly in that case also the SEC had overlooked, and people had reported to the SEC they should be looking into Bernie Madoff. So I know that the SEC had met a bunch of times with SBF. I don't know the specifics of what types of oversight they were applying. I do think this is a fraud. I don't view this as a crypto problem at large. But to your point, I think regulatory clarity globally is important. And we're seeing a lot of countries. I mean, here we are in Davos, and Switzerland's clearly one of the countries leading in providing regulatory clarity in early stage. You have the UAE leaning in, the UK, Japan, Singapore. The US is notably absent from that list. And I think in some ways, the regulators in the US have added confusion to the crypto marketplace.
And let's talk about those regulators in the US, the SEC, Brad. Let's get a check-in on what's going on with that lawsuit.
I like Brad. I don't know about y'all, but Brad, Brad just smooth, man. I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable with my money invested with Brad. I pay attention to all these things. Like, I'm like, man, is Brad, like, like Brad is smooth, y'all. Like, how do y'all feel about Brad? Like, I feel like he is smooth. Like low key, I want to give him a black card. I like him.
With the SEC and Ripple, are you nearing an end potentially? Are you planning to settle with the SEC?
Well, we have always said that we would love to settle, but it requires one very, very, very important thing. And that is that on a go-forward basis, it's clear that XRP is not a security. The SEC and Gary Gensler has very outwardly said he views almost all crypto as a security. And so that leaves very little space in a Venn diagram for settlement. The case is now fully briefed in front of the judge, and judges take however long the judges will take. We're optimistic that this will certainly be resolved in 2023 and maybe the first half. So we'll see how it plays out from here. But I feel very good about where we are relative to the law and the facts.
So are you going to wait for the judge to come out with a decision on this one?
I'm very optimistic, and I think absent some significant change in posture from the SEC, I can't imagine that we won't have resolution from the judge. I also will point out, and I've certainly something I've heard here in Davos repeatedly, is how important this is, not just to how Ripple it goes forward, but also really the whole crypto industry in the United States. And I keep reminding people that outside the United States, crypto is still thriving, Ripple is still thriving, and we should make sure we're continuing to engage non-US regulators as well.
I mean, it's also difficult to say it's thriving when so many people have lost a lot of money speculating. And the key word here is speculating on the price of Bitcoin and various other cryptocurrencies. I remember back at the peak, there was a lot of talk about institutions getting involved. Given what we've seen, given the price action, given the drawdowns, given the numerous amounts of fraud cases that have gone on in the space, doesn't it feel like the hurdle is extremely high, if not impossible now, to get institutions involved? If you were sitting on a board of a pension fund, how could you justify to them that you're going to get involved in cryptocurrencies?
Well, I think it depends upon how we're defining institutional involvement. When I think about institutional involvement with Ripple, I'm thinking about financial institutions, banks, payment providers who are using our technologies to solve a cross-border payments problem. They've continued to engage, we've continued to grow, and so I feel good about that. But look, I think anytime you have this kind of change, people take a moment. I also think, and I pointed out in one of the sessions I was in at Davos here yesterday, is we talk about, obviously, crypto is down 65%. Tesla is down 65%. Facebook is down about 65%. No one's saying, hey, we shouldn't invest in Tesla or Facebook. So I think we have to, clearly, I would much rather not have the volatility we've seen in crypto in 2022. But I think we also have to look at that in concert of other kind of growth investment areas. And again, to your point, most of crypto has been speculation. If it's just speculation, I don't think that's long-term sustainable. We need to focus on utility and make sure we're solving problems for customers.
Wow. Come on, Brad. Well spoken. I couldn't have said it no better than myself. Brad is cold. I love Brad. And something that really stuck out to me, and this is what I tell people all the time. People are like, well, crypto's down. I was like, man, look, everything's down. And your real estate will be down too very soon. Like real estate, the prices are inflated right now all over Atlanta. Looking for real estate, looking here, there. The price, it's not impossible. I ain't gonna speak that. It is crazy as to how much these houses are right now, right? But that too shall pass. There will be a downturn in that market as well. No market goes straight up. And so when that downturn happens, people are going to be afraid to invest in real estate. People are going to try to get out. People always try to get out. When they getting out, I'm getting in. When they getting in, I'm getting out. That's how you got to play the game. So let's continue to push forward. All right. Now, breaking. The Department of Justice will hold a press conference. This happened yesterday, 12 p.m. to announce a major international cryptocurrency enforcement action. The U.S. Treasury will also announce an action. Live stream link on the Department of Justice website. It's getting real, guys. January 18th, this was put out. From the USDJ. Justice Department to announce an international cryptocurrency enforcement action. Okay, who? The Deputy Attorney General Lisa Omonako. Okay, Assistant Attorney General Kenneth A. Polite Jr. All right, U.S. Attorney Breon Peace. You also have Associate Deputy Director from the FBI. Okay, and then also Wally Adeyemo. Okay, the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury. So some pretty heavy hitters. Now, here is just a little excerpt. Okay, well, from shout out to Digital Perspectives. but he said cryptocurrency crackdown from U.S. Treasury and Department of Justice. Department of Justice. What is it? There is a dark web and there is a regulated web, right? I choose regulation and trusted value protocols. I choose XRP. Okay, let's listen to what they had to say.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks all for being here. Today, the Department of Justice has dealt a significant blow to the crypto crime ecosystem. Justice Department agents and prosecutors working in partnership with the Treasury Department and French law enforcement have disrupted BitSlotto, a China-based cryptocurrency exchange notorious for laundering criminal proceeds from the dark net. And last night, agents of the FBI arrested BitSlotto's founder, Anatoly Legadimov. I am joined today by the Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division, Kenneth Polite, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, FBI Associate Deputy Director, Brian Turner, and the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Wally Adeyemo. Today's law enforcement actions put all of those who seek to exploit the cryptocurrency ecosystem on notice that the Department of Justice will use every tool, working along with our partners, every tool that we have to attack the criminal use of the dark net and cryptocurrency. And we are taking steps to address the crisis of confidence in the cryptocurrency markets, where criminals and fraudsters seek to operate beyond the reach of law enforcement. Malicious actors working from what they think are safe havens are exploiting crypto markets and flouting the laws and the regulations that guard the integrity of our financial system, and along with it, the earnings and investments of law-abiding Americans. It's no secret that cyber criminals rely on these bad actors to launder their criminal proceeds from cryptocurrency into fiat currency. But today, thanks to a coordinated international effort, Justice Department prosecutors and agents have disrupted a busy corner of this criminal ecosystem. Last night in Miami, FBI agents arrested Legadimov, a Russian national and the founder and majority owner of BitSlotto, a Hong Kong registered cryptocurrency exchange. The charges allege that he operated BitSlotto as a high-tech financial hub, as he put it, that catered to, quote, known crooks.
Wow.
BitSlotto failed to implement safeguards required by US law, safeguards that enable law enforcement to detect and to investigate financial crimes. Instead, BitSlotto facilitated the transmission of hundreds of millions of dollars in illicit funds, fueling darknet marketplaces, and laundering the proceeds of ransomware attacks. For example, as alleged, BitSlotto was a crucial financial resource for the notorious Hydra darknet market, the disruption of which I announced from this podium last April, at that time with our German partners. Now, Hydra was the world's longest running and largest darknet marketplace, responsible for 80% of the world's darknet transactions. Together, Hydra and BitSlotto formed a high-tech axis of crypto crime. Hydra buyers funded illicit purchases of illegal drugs, stolen financial information, and hacking tools from crypto accounts hosted at BitSlotto. And sellers of these illegal goods and services at Hydra sent criminal proceeds to accounts at BitSlotto.
Now, let me ask y'all a question. Why is all of this even possible? Can someone drop it in the chat box? What is the number one reason why all of any of this is even possible? Like, is it the criminal's fault? Is it Bits Lotto's fault? Is it our fault? There we go, Solo. Shout out to Solo, man. Solo not playing. Zero regulation, not just about US, but global regulation. It sucks that us as US investors, it really stinks that a lot of us have to go and use overseas exchanges for this market, but then there's regulated exchanges, right, inside of the US for the stock market. Why is that? Well, it's a lot of things, and it's because the United States, which is a powerhouse, has failed to be the first regulator. That's the problem. See, the United States is a powerhouse. What we say really goes, right? Like the world will copy what we do usually, right? That's usually how it happens with the US over here on the Western Hemisphere. So if we had it together on the Western Hemisphere first, not Brazil, not Argentina, not Canada, but the United States, if they had it together, if we had it together, we wouldn't have these types of meetings. So it's really their fault. It's the same thing. They have the same type of meetings about cannabis, but whose fault is that? Okay, governmental lack of regulation.
All to the tune of over $700 million in direct and indirect transfers between 2018 and 2022. Now, I've said before that we would go after the entire ecosystem that allows cyber criminals and illicit actors to flourish. Today's action against Bits Lotto, as with the disruption of Hydra, reflects another critical step in executing on that strategy. At the time of Legedimov's arrest and continuing into the early hours of this morning, the department's international and domestic partners engaged in a coordinated campaign of disruption. That campaign includes law enforcement actions in multiple European countries, the seizure of Bitlotto's servers, and enforcement actions by the Treasury Department here in the United States.
Let's continue to push forward, okay? Now, mind you, all of this is going on. Now, one thing that I want you guys to realize, and why is this important for the fear, right? Why is this important for the fear of the masses? Can someone let me know in the chat box on the YouTube, wherever the case may be? What's your ideas on that? Why is this important for the fear, right? The fear of cryptocurrency. I want to see if you guys are thinking the way I'm thinking, right? Why? Because why is this particular video important, right? This is important because more people are going to see this on the news. More people are going to see this on the news, right? That's what it is. So people are going to say, oh, I got to back out of this asset class before I lose my money because they're going to regulate it and it's not going to be worth anything, right? Now, while all this is happening, January 18th on yesterday, the Business for International Settlements, the BIS, has put out another full text PDF for their multilateral platform for cross-border payments. Right now, they're continuing to build out the framework. Who's involved? The IMF, the World Bank, the BIS Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, and the BIS Innovation Hub. Okay, I went through and I read this entire PDF full text. You can find it online. However, let's read some of the simple stuff. Multilateral platforms, cross-border payment systems that are multi-jurisdictional by design could enhance cross-border payments by reducing the need for intermediaries and allowing payment service providers in different jurisdictions to transact directly with each other. Now, I am actually going to go to the full PDF. Okay, I'm actually going to go to it. I'm going to pull it up because I actually wanted to show you all something in there, right? So you can see they got all their stuff on here, all the logos. Okay, but if we scroll down into this 32-page document, okay. So the first thing I see is they're working on the back end for cross-border payments. What does that make up? There's various back-end arrangements that allows for PSPs, which is PSPs. I literally just payment service providers to process cross-border payments on behalf of their customers, payment service providers. These arrangements can be broadly classified into 4 models: correspondent banking, single system or closed loop, interlinking, right? Or peer-to-peer. Okay, so when we talk about peer-to-peer, you got to pay attention to the lingo. It says in the peer-to-peer model, the payer can send the payment directly to the payee without the involvement of any intermediary PSPs. Peer-to-peer payments can take a variety of forms. The simplest form is direct cash payment, which is what we have, right? The emergence of DLT, distributed ledger technologies. Remember that word. Distributed ledger technology, especially newer people, can allow peer-to-peer transactions to be executed electronically between parties using a shared ledger structure where the transaction is settled and holdings are recorded. Peer-to-peer solutions relying on this type of technology comprise crypto assets, stable coin arrangements, and some potential CBDC designs, right? Let's continue to push forward. All right. Examples of multilateral platform features, right? Liquidity management. Okay. We know that Ripple is heavy on liquidity management. Another one is payment messaging, including authentication, initiation, submission, and conditionality. Okay. Pre-validation services. Wow. XRP Ledger deals with pre-validate transactions. All of this same lingo, if you go and read the white paper, okay, over in RippleNet, you will see that this is what it does. This is exactly what they focus on. If we keep going, right here, another one, settlement. Number 5 is settlement. It says real-time gross settlements, RTGS, types of settlement assets, commercial bank money, central bank money, and crypto. It's already written. We don't have to worry, y'all. We got this. It's just waiting. Look at this right here. Effects of multilateral platforms on frictions. Effects of multilateral platforms on frictions. 7 frictions contribute to the challenges of cross-border payments. Friction number 1 is legacy technology platforms. Let's read into it. Okay, it says that as with any other new payment system, building a new multilateral platform with no pre-existing parts or prior dependencies directly addresses the friction of legacy platforms. If we kind of scroll down, it says, for example, a new platform could implement a harmonized version of ISO 20022 to improve the quality of data transmitted over the platform and facilitate straight-through processing, STP. Did you guys see? Do you see what I see? ISO 20022. To address this trade-off, a new platform may offer ancillary services that, for example, translate messages from ISO 20022 to local formats if participants find it infeasible to adopt ISO 20022. If they find it infeasible to adopt it, they will be out of business as a bank, as an institution by 2025. We have to follow the timeline, family. Let's continue to push forward. Are y'all clocking with me? Are y'all with me right now? Let's continue to push forward. The UN Secretary General openly commands politicians around the world to shape public opinion themselves. What? So basically impose your will upon humanity and manipulate the public to accept it.
But politicians need to understand, and sometimes we are faced with this kind of challenges. It is better to take today decisions that will eventually be not popular, but it will be essential to be able to shape the public opinion itself.
Everything's about shaping the public opinion, right? Let's continue to push forward. Now, I don't know if I want to show that video first, okay? This one right here was kind of long. This one's about a 10-minute video right here. But we got to hear a little bit of it. We do got to hear a little bit of it. It's important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit of this video right here. This is from Kristalina Georgieva. You all know who she is. She's the managing director of the IMF. If we go back to this document right here, there they go. IMF, the International Monetary Fund. So they're on this document right here. We have said 2023 is going to be difficult. What we are now saying is it's not as bad as we feared. Everybody has been saying that. If you have not paid attention, they've told us that we're going to go into a depression, a global recession is coming. But now they have to let us know so that people don't fear too much and start to riot, start to loot, start to damage businesses. They have to manage this. How? Manage the fear by telling people it's not going to be as bad of an impact. Now, this all comes after, okay, after this morning. I don't know if you all heard, but in the Ukraine, a helicopter actually crashed and killed 9 to 14 people. Okay, one was a kid, the rest were young politicians. Okay, the rest were young politicians. Okay, so the question is, why did the Ukraine have all of these people of power on one helicopter headed somewhere? The biggest lesson is, why would you never, ever put all of your top leaders in one helicopter? I don't know if y'all heard about that, but Ukraine and Russia is going through a war. They're trying to say that this could be Russian related. If this is Russian related, there's sanctions out on Russia. China and Russia are partnering. We know that China does not like the US. Russia does not like the US. Korea does not like the US. We know that this is what could lead. These leaders is what could be the tipping point. And we're not even paying attention to it. But this could be the tipping point for World War III. Listen.
Now, in the meantime, the global economy suffered a huge shock to the system, of course, too, last February when Russia launched its illegal war in Ukraine, and the after effects, including things like energy shortages, high inflation, and food insecurity, are still being felt today. The World Economic Forum calls it an interconnected or poly-crisis in need of a greater and coordinated global response. Now, amid all the uncertainty, the International Monetary Fund has been forced to repeatedly cut its global growth forecasts. And while no resolution to the Ukraine conflict is in sight, the fund does believe the global economy should bottom out this year, paving the way for recovery, especially as China reopens and aggressively begins courting outside investment. A big fear, of course, too, for the IMF remains what it calls trade fragmentation or fragmentation risk, a development that has the potential to severely weaken global growth. Much to discuss, as always, and I'm pleased to say IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva joins us now. Managing Director, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. As I mentioned, we do have much to discuss, but I do want to begin in Ukraine and the tragedy upon tragedy that took place today.
I mourn for those who lost their lives today, for all the victims of this senseless, brutal war. I want to express my sympathy to the government of Ukraine. They lost a valuable member. I'm confident, though, they will endure. They're doing an incredibly good job in the most difficult circumstances.
You know, I'm reminded, and I can see that once again you're choked talking about this, of your family. Because the last time you and I were together, we were talking about your family, who's also caught in the midst of this. How are they doing?
My brother and his wife are now in Bulgaria. My brother's mother-in-law is in Kharkov. I talked to her recently. It is cold. It is dark. It is scary. And her appeal to all in the world is stand by us. And so we must.
How did they feel when the First Lady appeared here at the World Economic Forum and what she said?
It was very touching because she talked about people who are going through the most difficult challenges, about children that are lost to Ukraine for no good reason, and about the power of solidarity within Ukraine and with the international community. So it is very uplifting to listen to her. It reminds us of our humanity.
We're going to move on and talk about, hopefully, glimmers of light on the economic front too. I know there's concern still clearly about the global economy, but I think when we all arrived here at the World Economic Forum, we were concerned about the forecast, about what you were going to say about recession risk. Glimmers of light, perhaps?
This year is going to be difficult. Growth will slow further, but there are signs of resilience. And we see labor markets in the United States, in Europe, holding, consumers spending, and a chance for the Chinese economy to bottom out. If all this holds, we might see a progress in bottoming out of growth towards the end of the year. But let's remember, while inflation is trending down, it is still way, way above the target of 2%. And therefore, interest rates will remain still tight, throwing some cold water of the world economy.
Okay, so if I sum this up, hope with regards to China and reopening, resilience from consumers in particular, but clearly inflation is still a problem. Can we be optimistic enough to say that the IMF believes that we've seen the peak in inflation, and while there's still work to do to bring it down, we've seen the worst?
We have seen the peak in headline inflation. We haven't quite yet seen core inflation peaking, but indicators are that inflation is trending downwards. And that is a reason to celebrate that central banks got it they needed to act. They did so in a coordinated manner, and faster than many anticipated, the sign of inflation trimming down are with us.
You know, it's interesting. Liu He from China, of course, and it's great to have the Chinese back. He caught people's attention talking about reform, development, opening up. No mention of COVID, which is interesting. What did you make of that? Do you think this is sort of China in a way coming in from the cold, to use a very potent term here?
What I can say is that the Chinese economy performed very badly in 2022. It is, for the first time in 40 years, growing slower than the average global growth. 3% versus 3.2. Never happened before. This is a big wake-up call for China to do two things. One, take out COVID restrictions and allow the economy to function. Two, use its policy space to boost growth in the country. Of course, this is easily said, not done, because when you eliminate COVID restrictions in a country of 1.4 billion people where there was zero COVID, guess what happens? Bushfire. COVID spreads. So China has a job to do, but it appears that the Chinese consumer, who has been sitting on savings from the COVID period of time, is saying, yay, time to go out and spend, giving a boost to growth in the country.
It is going to open you up to the obvious criticism that the IMF, they got it wrong again, or they've changed their minds. Is the message here, very briefly, just that you're data dependent like everybody else?
We are data dependent, and we actually haven't changed our mind. We have said 23 is going to be difficult. What we are saying now is not as bad as we feared. And look, we don't know how many countries would end up in recession. It looks like fewer than initially we were concerned they may be. But if you have 0.2% growth rather than minus 0.2% growth, still for hundreds of millions of people, it would feel right, like recession. So buckle up. It is still a difficult year, but with signs like here in Davos, sunny, shiny
Yes.
signs that towards the end of 23, we may be on an upswing.
Yeah. Okay, and we take it, and it's a calibration. We'll call it that. There's two things I want to talk about, so I'm going to be brief now. The UN Secretary General said to me, we need a business model change at the IMF because for things like climate finance, we need to raise money fast. The IMF, the World Bank need to be able to accept that the business model has to change. Some part of the losses have to be borne, and that is a difference in how the shareholders have looked at this in the past. Do you agree?
Not only I agree, but I can tell you we are ahead of the curve because we have already started shaping up a different business model.
Yeah.
We recognize that climate risks are macro-critical. Also, that opportunities of the green transition should be available to emerging markets in developing countries. We have created a new instrument at the IMF, long-term financing, exactly to support that transition. And I'm very proud to say that the interest in the IMF being a force for good, for transformation among our members is very high. I'm going to Rwanda, one of the first 4 countries that have benefited of this new instrument.
Yeah, and you should also tell me off and say, Julia, there's profit potential here as well. Let's be clear. It's not talking about all losses and be doom and gloom. Fragmentation risk as well. I mean, you're talking about, at its worst, a cost of 7% GDP. How do we stop that? How do we prevent that?
Well, number one.
So let's keep pushing forward, right? So just wanted to show you all that video because it's, it's important for us to be in the know where we are, right? This is Coffee and Crypto, right? But I don't want you to come on here and only get information about crypto because, it's deeper than that. This is our world that we're dealing with. We need to know these world events that's going on, and we need to be in the know on everything so that we're prepared and we can let other people know what is going on. Okay. Now, to kind of wrap things up on today's show. I don't know if you guys have heard, but I have a couple more videos. Like I told you, today is going to be super video heavy. But this right here was a video by Brad Garlinghouse again. He did another interview. He said, my take on Davos 2023. I honestly think it's healthy seeing the change in how crypto showed up this year. Folks are focusing on utility and how these technologies solve real problems. The only way the industry will move forward, great to catch up, right? So that's very important. Then let's kind of fast forward to this right here where I saw this video last night and I was like, hold on, what? This was I believe at Bank of America. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Drop a 7 if you've seen this, but there's a big issue right now with Zelle customers not having money in their bank account, missing a couple thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, right? How many people have seen this? So if you have Bank of America, you might want to check your balances or your Zelle transactions to make sure that everything is good.
So I'm a Bank of America and everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money over $1,300 and they're telling me to call customer service and they keep hanging up on people. This is another person here. He's also missing money. So we're trying to see what's going on. Money's missing today and we need our money. And they're already telling us to call customer service and customer service ain't doing nothing about it. So just a heads up, if anybody's experiencing this, please let us know because this is not right. I'm missing $1,400 from my account, and they're telling me that there's no way they can help us. This guy's missing money too. This other person is missing money too. And you missing money too? There you go. So this is not something that's just one person. This is everybody's happening to them. And this is crazy. This is very crazy. Yes, Bank of America decided to take people's money without their consent. And we're asking what's going on, and they're giving us a runaround. Everybody for the same thing, man. Same thing. So I'm a Bank of America and everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money over.
So I'm not sure what happened to their money, right? But this could become a issue for more banks in the United States. And so what does this mean? This could be if this happens because it's Zelle related. There's a lot of banks that are, I believe it's Zelle related. So there's a lot of banks, I believe it's Zelle related. Don't kill me if it's not. But there's a lot of banks that are associated with Zelle, that have Zelle accounts, Zelle partnerships, Zelle integration. If that is the case, okay, and we see this could be looked at as something where the banks may have to close for a little while to figure this out. they may have to stop transactions because with all the money flowing, they'll never be able to catch it. So they may have to pause transactions for a short amount of time or a long period of time. Again, y'all, we have to just know what we're up against, right? Now, that I wanted to show that video, but then we also have this video right here from BlackRock's CEO. Okay, so let's listen to him as he's talking about the tokenization of stocks and other assets.
I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. We will, and if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem. You don't need trust banks.
But does that disrupt you eventually? Because you are custodying all of the assets.
No, we're not a custodian. We're not, we use third-party custodians in everything we do.
In everything you do.
We're not a custodian bank.
So your goal, by the way, I don't think that he was technically a custodian either, which is a separate issue.
I think they were. I don't know if there was a real custodian in that closed ledger, but that's a whole other story. You should ask him that question. No, I mean, the transformation, think about it, instantaneous settlement, bonds and stocks. No middlemen. We're going to bring down fees even more dramatically. As for me, I don't have to vote on any shares anymore because the beneficial owner will do all the voting.
Y'all, look, we can keep going. I got more videos. We can keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. But one thing's for sure and two things for certain, that we are in the right space. Okay, we are doing our best. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We're doing the research. We're staying up to date on everything. And I mean, we could not show up to this show anymore, hold these assets, and I believe be okay, right? But it's fun. It's a lot more fun to me to just unfold, this thing week in and week out, day in and day out, second in and second out. So I just want to say I appreciate you all for taking the time to, be the backbone of what we do here. I see that there's some more stuff being dropped inside of the chat. So make sure you guys check the stuff out from LA over on the Zoom. But like I said, if you're tuning in and you're seeing this later on YouTube, if you're listening to my voice on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other podcast platform, please smash the like button. It's a little thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button. And then also make sure you press subscribe. Don't just like it. Make sure you subscribe. Stay up to date on what we're doing. We have more things coming to the Oh My Crypto Network in 2023, more channels. We'll be bringing some technical analysis calls and stuff on there. So if you are interested in TA, technical analysis, and just seeing, me and my fellow traders hop onto calls and just start trading together, make sure that you plug in with us. Also, if you need access to the Discord group, you can click the link inside of all the bios inside of my social medias and also on YouTube. And that'll give you the link to be able to join our Discord group. It's just $50 a month. So I want to say thank you to each and every single person that took the time to be on today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Have an amazing rest of your day. All right, be safe. All right, and I will see y'all on next Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody.